when you characterize it as Connor going 0 for 2, it'd be like he's a no-show. He hasn't been a no-show. He has 7 points in the 5 games. He's been at times one of the best players on the ice. He's done a lot to make this a winning situation. I think it's incumbent on some of his teammates to step up and produce. Evander Kane was sensational the first 2 games. Where has he been the last 3 games? Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was such a force against Dallas. Where has he been in this series? Leon Draisaitl obviously has had 2 incredible moments with those overtime goals, but they certainly need a lot from him as well. They're missing Zach Hyman, and the goaltending continues to be an issue. I just don't think it's fair to characterize it as, Connor 0 for 2. I just don't think that would tell the whole story. So in my eyes, at least, and I'm interested what Justin and Sammy and you think, but in my eyes, it's got to be this Florida team. They deserve a lot of praise, a lot of credit. And Connor McDavid continues to be the best player in the world, and he'll still chase that elusive first cup if that's how this plays out. Just like Ovechkin, just like Yzerman, just like Ray Bourque, just like a lot of the game's greats had to wait many, many years to do it.
I think we're talking about almost 2 different things in that. In hockey history, the Florida Panthers will be remembered as one of the all-time great playoff teams, right? They win 2 cups, 3 finals. The way they play, extremely memorable. We'll lump them in when we talk about the best playoff teams. But from a reality TV perspective, Connor McDavid going 0-2, and again, I'm with you, GA. He's not 0-2, but he's been a part of teams that now will have lost twice in the final. He's the most bloodthirsty, hungry, passionate cup guy, and that's going to be fascinating. What does that make him do with the rest of his decisions, his next contract with the Oilers? How are things affected from there will shape the NHL. So
yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, especially here in Canada. At the end of the day, okay, we're going to tip our hat to Florida, but up here in Canada, nobody's going to care whether or not, where they're remembered in history. That conversation could be real short. The ongoing one would be Connor McDavid. How does 2 losses affect him? How does it affect him going into a contract year, as you had said? Like it is perhaps, David, if it's unfair to say, to categorize it as 0 for 2, then a major fork in the road tonight for Connor McDavid in terms of
what?
Where he goes moving forward, his legacy, right?
But don't you think it's more likely that he'd be like LeBron James? He'd only ever leave after getting Edmonton a championship? Doesn't that feel more likely than I got to go somewhere else to get it? Anyway, maybe go ahead, DA.
We're also not talking about a guy who's 35 here. I think how old's McDavid? 28, I believe. So you'd have to check. He
might be 27.
Yeah, he's 27 or 20. I mean, he's got another 10, 12 kicks.
He is 28, yeah.
He's 28. I mean, Corey Perry is lighting it up as a 40-year-old. Connor McDavid still has a good decade to go. So I don't think we can be, it almost sounds like a eulogy. What's his legacy? I mean, he's still working on that. As far as his future here in Edmonton, I mean, all signs point to him coming back to Edmonton. I don't even think there's a question at this point. His wife just opened up a store, a boutique, a cocktail, lounge. His buddy Leon Draisaitl just signed for 8 years. I don't get any impression. His former agent is now the president. I don't have any reason to believe going to be anywhere except Edmonton moving forward. And I certainly think his legacy is far from being written, and the final chapter is far from being written. It would be considered a considerable bump along the road, because we all know how hard it is to get to the Stanley Cup final and to go back to back and to not be able to get that elusive cup. Certainly there'll be some like, oh man, when is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? Is it going to happen?
You're watching and listening to David Amber, studio host, Hockey Night in Canada, NHL on Sportsnet. So outside of 97 and 29, who has to have a big night here?
I mean, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor Brown, Corey Perry, they need some complementary scoring. One thing that, to get back to the Florida team, I know how great Marchand and Bennett have been, but again, they got Verhaeghe and Reinhart and Barkov and Lundell, and I can keep going, and all the way to their 4th line. They have, I think, 9 players with at least 15 points, which I do think is the most since one of your dad's teams, Justin. Like, it's just, they're deep, they're good, they're thorough. No team I've seen in all my years covering hockey plays with their identity or is more comfortable in their specific identity than the Florida Panthers. So that means that everyone's got to be going for the Oilers. You can't just sit back and say, well, let's hope 97 and 29 pull us out of this. And remember, the storyline going into the final was the depth of the Oilers. 20 different goal scorers, different hero every night, 10 different guys with game-winning goals. That's all great. We need some of that now. We need Trent Frederick. We need Evander Kane. You need all of these. I say we, I don't mean we like I'm with you. I just mean, if I'm the Oilers, you need all of those players going because, Florida, they're all right now feeling it. What worries me if I'm the Oilers is Sam Reinhart, who was really quiet through the Carolina series, got injured, was quiet at the beginning of this series. He's now scored in 3 straight games. We all know what Marchand and Bennett are doing. Kachuk's getting better and better every game. Like, they're all feeling it. They're healthy. They feel good. The Oilers really need to push back as a team collectively. It can't be, just 2 guys trying to pull the rope in one direction.
So let's talk a little bit about the Florida Panthers. Brad Marchand has been an absolute bright spot. He's been a joy. Like, he seems to be able to be in these pressure moments and still maintain personality where, you think a lot of guys get all kind of, clenched up and worried about it. He seems to be himself, on the verge now of his 2nd Stanley Cup and I believe his 4th Stanley Cup final.
He's amazing, guys, and I don't think when Bill Zito went out and got Brad Marchand, even in his wildest dreams, this guy was going to perform at this level. I mean, he has the most goals in the Stanley Cup final since Esa Tikkanen in 1988. I mean, let that sink in. That's not nothing. Kidding. It's the most goals in the Stanley Cup final in this is crazy. He's been amazing. And I think more than what he's doing on the ice, and Nick can talk to this, when you were there in 94, Nick, you had guys who weren't necessarily always doing it on the ice, but they were keeping everyone calm, cool, collected. When you guys were staring down Game 7 against Vancouver, everything on the line, I'm sure there was a lot of veterans there keeping guys lighter and feeling good. And that's what Brad Marchand has done in every series. And not just that, because obviously what he's done on the ice has been incredible. He scored arguably the most important goal for Florida in this entire run. That was Game 3 in overtime versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, that's not just a footnote here. Had the Leafs won that game in Game 3, we're probably talking about a different matchup here in the Stanley Cup final. Instead, he got that goal in Game 3, and Florida's just ridden that momentum right to the Stanley Cup final. So it's been a really incredible story. But it's what I'm seeing about his personality, the Dairy Queen stuff, and in the dressing room, he's just so light with the media. He's so light with his teammates. They're whipping rats at him. He has everyone just feeling good about themselves. He's kept it really light. It's businesslike, but it's also fun. And he's taken the pressure off, I think, the pressure that a lot of these players might have been feeling. So it's been really cool to watch. He's an incredible leader.
DA, we haven't had a Stanley Cup here since the Montreal Canadiens, right, in the early 90s, and there's no question that any market here in Canada would focus and welcome it, and Edmonton's leading the way. But if the